Hi, and welcome to another edition of the Sustainable Scoop. I'm Miriam Gennari at the nexus of Crystal City and Pentagon City at station number 5. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do for Arlington County?
Well, I've been employed by the Arlington County Police Department for over 21 years. I am currently assigned to the school resource unit. I've been there for almost 10 years now.
I understand that there's a potential cut to the number of officers that Arlington will face. How is that possible right now?
Well, right now, the police department is in a staffing crisis. With that being said, there's several steps that need to be done to ensure that the county is served appropriately. And in order to do that, our organization have to go through a reorganization, meaning that certain officers or certain departments may shift, their numbers may shift to accommodate the amount of officers that need to be in operations that patrol Arlington County in itself. At this point, in the school resource unit, we're obviously creating mentorships and addressing any type of criminal activity within the school system, and also bridging the gap between the youth and the police department. In all of the schools, every high school has an officer assigned to it, every middle school has an officer assigned to it, and all of the elementary schools are divided up between 3 and 4 other officers.
I was here on September 11th, and I understand that as a parent and as a member of the community, there are a lot of essential people who live and work in this area, and they were panicked for their children. So how do you think that that informs the actions that you make every day, knowing that you're kind of in the center of the storm?
Well, a lot of the school resource officers who work in the unit, they have kids as well. So they are just as concerned for the students here in the county as if they were their own.
I was at Wakefield High School. I was in government class. I was a senior then. We turned the news on to, in government, you do conversations with the class, and we watched the second plane hit the tower. They locked us down in the basement until they figured out what was going on, and then sent us home for the day. Because I wasn't on when this happened, thank God I've never experienced anything like that. So I go from call to call, and day to day, and take it as it comes. I try not to think too much about all that.
So the problem facing the Arlington County Fire Department is it's being stretched close to its breaking point, where since 2014 we've institutionalized a system of mandatory overtime in order to fill staffing gaps so we can have the necessary firefighters on duty to protect Arlington County citizens. That was an emergency procedure prior to 2014 that was very rarely implemented. And now we have to have an organized system so it's spread out evenly amongst our personnel to try to make sure that not one person takes the brunt of it.
Anybody who has children knows that when you have daycare, whether you use the daycare or not, you have to pay for the daycare because you've basically locked in that spot. And it's not the daycare's fault that you didn't get held that day. So every day that I'm scheduled to be mandatorily held, when my wife was working, we had to pay for childcare. Now, sometimes I did get to go home, which was always great. We still had to pay for the childcare, but we didn't use it because, I'm home.
Per the Fair Labor Standards Act, you have to compensate every person at 1.5 times their hourly rate. So that does lead to increased expenses for the citizens. Also, once people are working longer, they're more tired, they're more prone to injury and sickness. So what we've had is an increase in lost time injuries and the number of hours lost.
I'm one of the fortunate few that does live in the county. I inherited the house from my parents. One of the guys at our firehouse, and it's fairly common amongst all firehouses, he gets up around between 2 and 2:30, has to be on the road by 2:40, no later than 2:45. He's got about a 3.5 hour commute. When he gets here, he immediately begins doing housework because he gets here around 5:45 to 6 o'clock. Then it's another anywhere from 12 to 18 hours where he's up, running calls, training. He's a rookie, so there's a lot of training that goes into this job, a lot of dedication, a lot of studying, learning the job. And then if he's lucky, he might get to sleep through the night.
Dating back to 2008, 2009, prior to that, Arlington traditionally paid lower wages than certain other surrounding jurisdictions, but on the basis that retiree health care was split, with the county taking 80% of the cost and the retiree taking on 20% of the cost. Since then, that benefit has been reduced to a fixed amount each month, depending on the time period that the person was hired and the person left the county in. And with that amount being fixed and healthcare costs rising nationwide, the increases that our retirees have had have been quite dramatic. And for our younger members, they question, so if someone in my position, if I retire with 25 years of service in Arlington County, I would receive a maximum of $300 a month subsidy to health insurance premiums. Well, not near a family premium now, and being that I can retire in 2037, that number is not scheduled to go up at all, so whatever $300 would buy in 2037.
We're still attracting great recruits. The problem is they get a job with us, they come on with us, they work here for a year or two while they're in another process, like Fairfax County, where their starting salary is a lot more than ours, and then they go to Fairfax or they go to DC or any of the other surrounding jurisdictions who are making a lot more money doing the exact same job. And we don't do this job to get rich. We do it to help people, but we also like to be fairly compensated for what we do.
County manager has proposed a 4% increase for uniformed fire personnel this year, which we thank you for taking the courage in a tough budget year to do so. But the thing is that if we're getting a 4% increase and we're 21% behind our regional comparators, and some of those jurisdictions are also receiving increases this year as they deserve, we need more to make that to become competitive again. There's no way around it that the county is going to have to make a significant investment in public safety, both for the police department and the fire department.
Could I ask, what would be your role at a high school if there was an active shooter?
My role, if there was an active shooter in a high school, is to go and eliminate the threat. Go directly, eliminate the threat, and then tend for any injuries or any casualties at that point after I have eliminated that threat.
So my role, I am not a medic. I am just an EMT basic. I would be in a team of 3 or more fire department personnel surrounded by police. So we'd be on a team, and we would go in after they had isolated the shooter with police protection. We would go in and we would do a search room to room and locate and address injured victims if there were any, help evacuate the rooms and clear the school. So we have what's called our first due, and I work at Station 5 in Crystal City. So my first due is Gunston Middle School and Oak Ridge Elementary School. But we could be there from time of first call to arriving on scene in less than or equal to about 4 minutes.
Arlington is 26 miles, but you're protecting close to 30,000 students. Is there a message that you would like to send to the parents and to the decision makers in Arlington about the work that you do?
Absolutely. The message to send to the parents will be just communicate with your kids, whether it's school safety, home safety. If you build that communication with your kids, it's a matter of just 1, 2, 3. Not panicking, staying calm, and knowing the procedures that you need to go through to keep yourself and others safe.
Thank you so much for the work that you do. We really do appreciate it. And we will follow up on what the county decides to do with your budget.